All right, welcome everyone. We do have a QR code and a tiny URL, and in the chat, we'll be adding the link to the home base so you can access the materials that way. We are so excited that you have all joined our session to learn more about assistive technology and augmentative alternative communication and how that can support our students. So at Open Access, we are grounded in the principles of universal design for learning. And so a few things that we do to provide accessibility, you'll see that we have simple backgrounds and high contrast text. You also have access to the materials digitally, and hopefully if you needed, you were able to print those. Like I said, we have the QR code and the tiny URL, which will take you to the home base, and that has all of our materials and resources linked there. And then we'll also have some time for examples and non-examples and time for you to reflect. And also, like Heather said, share in the chat your reflections and your feedback today.
So we are a small but mighty team at Open Access. Troy Tickle is the executive leader of the project. Leah and I are the coordinators, and we have 3 content lead specialists in the areas of universal design for learning, augmentative alternative communication, and assistive technology. And we have administrative support with our amazing Mel. The Placer County SELPA Open Access Project is honored to work alongside our collaborative partners with North Inland SELPA, Antelope Valley SELPA, Humboldt County Office of Education, and the Placer County Office of Education. We are a grant-funded project through the California Department of Education and the California Collaborative for Educational Excellence. Open Access is one of the statewide special education resource leads within the statewide system of support. We are grounded in the foundational belief that with access to quality curriculum and instruction, all students can engage, actively participate, and learn within inclusive settings. And what makes our project unique is that we highlight the importance of learning and participation for all through universal design for learning, assistive technology, and augmentative alternative communication. Be sure to bookmark our website to easily access our free universal resources for educators and administrators who are looking to support the implementation of UDL, AT, or AAC. Just briefly, we have our 3-tiered approach to supporting LEAs throughout the state. Our universal supports include our website, as well as a range of offerings and trainings and updates that we make through our social media. Our targeted supports are voluntary when LEAs reach out to us who are interested in building their expertise around UDL, AT, and AAC. So we provide no-cost training, coaching, and mentoring in those 3 areas. Our intensive supports, we have 8 LEAs that we support throughout the state through the compliance and improvement monitoring process, so that we have been connected with them as they meet their action plan items that are centered around quality instruction and accessibility. And our ultimate goal at Open Access is to develop showcase sites throughout the state where educators can see UDL and accessibility in action.
So we want to start with an inclusive welcome. And this comic, some of you have probably seen this before, but we feel like it's a great way to start today. So if you look at it, you can see the person in the wheelchair saying, could you please shovel the ramp? And the person who is shoveling the stairs says, all these other kids are waiting to use the stairs. When I get through shoveling them, then I will clear the ramp for you. And the person in the wheelchair says, but if you shovel the ramp, we can all get in. So we know that eliminating or finding a solution to one problem often benefits others too. And this principle was discovered early on when universal design was applied to architecture. So we know the ramp, yes, it supports someone who is using that with a wheelchair, but it also could be a support for a person pushing a stroller, someone who just broke their leg. So what we want you to do is just introduce yourself in chat, tell us your name and your role, and then if you feel comfortable, you can share a thought or an experience or a story that kind of relates to this comic. So we'll give you a minute to add your name to the chat and introduce yourself.
So for today's session, we will be focusing on the integration of UDL, AT, and AAC in order to support all learners. We will start with a brief overview of those three areas, and then we're going to discuss ways that we can integrate all three in support of our learners. We might introduce a tool that may be new to you, or maybe that is familiar to you, that could help support planning with universal design for learning, assistive technology, and augmentative alternative communication. And then we're going to provide time for exploration, reflection, and a wrap-up. So universal design for learning is not just another initiative or a program. It is not a curriculum that can be purchased. And it does go beyond being just another task on the to-do list. What UDL is, it's a teaching framework that is based on the research in the learning sciences. So it's based on neuroscience that really guides the development of designing flexible methods, materials, and environments that embrace learner variability, minimize barriers in the environment, and support the development of learner agency for all. Ultimately, the goal of UDL is to support learners in developing their own agency so that our students are motivated to learn and they understand how they learn best and they understand what strategies and tools they need when they might be stuck.
So the primary purpose of universal design for learning is to design learning environments and experiences that reach every student. In order to do that, we have to think about two foundational concepts: variability and barriers. So universal design for learning embraces the concept that all of us are unique learners and rejects the idea or the notion of an average learner. So recognizing that variability is contextual and it can be planned for. We know that each of us today in this Zoom have individual strengths, preferences, and challenges. And that is the same in our learning environment. Every student brings their unique strengths, preferences, and challenges. And so we need to create those learning environments that support variability. So we'll talk about how students can access and engage in ways that work for them. And then Universal Design for Learning also recognizes that obstacles to learning are found in the environment and not within the learner. So the barriers can be inaccessible materials, maybe inflexible teaching methods, or physical obstacles. So Universal Design for Learning seeks to identify and eliminate those barriers. And we can do that by creating flexible methods, materials, and assessments. So our students can show us in ways that work for them, their learning. So many of you have probably seen this image before. We know that the ultimate goal of UDL is learner agency. And so we want to be able to have our students know what works for them. So in that first picture, you see maybe a learning environment where everything is the same for everyone. There's no flexibility. In the second picture, you can see where it might be more teacher or adult directed what supports students might need. So you need one box, you might need two boxes. But our ultimate goal is that third picture and even removing that fence and having the students in that soccer game. So students can decide what they need and what supports work for them.
Agency comes from our learners knowing themselves and specifically knowing what engages them. They know what tools they need to help them to perceive and understand the information and material, and they know how to organize, articulate, and communicate their learning.
All right, now I'm going to jump in and talk a little bit about assistive technology and augmentative and alternative communication. So let's talk a little bit more about what technology is and what it isn't. We know that it is not just a tool, but we sometimes find ourselves jumping straight to a tool. So traditionally, the AT continuum has primarily focused on tools and categorizing assistive technology into different categories. So we have no and low tech, mid tech, and high tech tools. However, this slide shows that the continuum is truly a more comprehensive way of thinking about assistive technology for educational productivity. So we recognize that the continuum involves not just the AT tools, but also a range of strategies and services that are tailored to individual student needs. So in addition to those conventional tool categories, this continuum incorporates scaffolded strategies, which include adult-directed, adult-facilitated, and student-owned approaches. This comprehensive continuum recognizes that the effectiveness of assistive technology often lies not just in the tool itself, but in how it's implemented and integrated into the student's learning journey. The continuum also shows the range of services and supports we can offer to students and teams. These include essential elements such as training, direct instruction, and consultation and collaboration. So unlike traditional services, assistive technology as a special education service can look a bit different depending on the needs of the student, the family, and the IEP team. And then falling under the assistive technology umbrella, we also find augmentative alternative communication, or AAC. And again, AAC is more than just a tool. It's really a means to empower communication and connection. It's not just about providing a device, it's about understanding the bigger picture and addressing the student's unique needs and goals. So this is the definition of AAC. Augmentative and alternative communication is everything an individual uses to communicate or enhance communication. Different strategies may be needed for different situations and different communication partners. Strategies and tools may be combined to meet a variety of communication needs. So if we think back to that AT continuum, AAC as an assistive technology exists on that same continuum, which includes tools, strategies, and supports. And the goal of supporting our students with complex communication challenges is really to ensure that they will be able to show what they know and understand, to be able to build independence and autonomy, and to build relationships and social connection. So AAC as an assistive technology must be considered for our students with communication needs. And that includes considering augmentative and alternative communication for anyone who is not able to communicate effectively with speech alone, anyone who is partially able to communicate with speech, but may not be understood by others at all times, and anyone who might have adequate speech, but also may need supports for writing or carrying on longer conversations. All right, so now we are going to move along in our learning journey today, and we are going to discuss some ways that we can integrate universal design for learning, assistive technology for educational productivity, and augmentative and alternative communication to best support all of our learners.
All right, we're gonna, in this section, we're gonna walk you through how these three can really work together to ensure access and best meet the needs of our learners in our classroom. So it's kind of that synergy between the three.
So let's consider the barriers students might face within their learning. Some of our students might struggle with engagement, finding it difficult to stay motivated or interested in their learning. Others of us might face challenges with representation, making it hard to access or understand information as it's presented. And then additionally, students may encounter barriers in action and expression. So where they need alternative ways to show their learning or their mastery of standards. So to help identify and address some of these barriers, Open Access created this one-page document, and it's also linked on the home base and the slide deck. So just take a couple minutes to what might be some barriers that someone you know is encountering in the learning environment? And what could we do to address that?
After we identify potential barriers, we can ask ourselves, how can I use universal design for learning or assistive technology or augmentative alternative communication to support my learners? Could I offer choices? How could I ensure my students have access to the language that they need for this learning activity? We might ask ourselves, what tools can I provide to support access for everyone as a universal support? So by offering tools and supports for all students, we're not only normalizing their use, but we're also ensuring that those who may need them benefit. But again, what's necessary for some is often beneficial for all. So we can really throw that net out real wide and support all of our learners.
So now we're going to look at some barriers in different areas that students might face. So we're going to start and talk about how we can remove barriers in reading.
All right, so in general, we should always start out by looking at the simple solutions. So here are a few things that are commonly available that should be some of the first things that we try with our students. So on this slide, you're going to see highlighting tape, which can replace highlighter pens. And it's a great no-tech tool because it can be written on and also easily removed from the paper that it's stuck to. You'll see here reading guides that have a transparent center, which highlights the line of text that's being read, but then also blocking out the lines above and below to help reduce that visual clutter. And then also you'll see sticky notes or post-it notes, which are a great way to aid in reading comprehension and also helping organize thoughts and ideas.
And then here are a few tools we wanted to share with you for text to speech. So one resource is Bookshare, and they have millions of titles of textbooks and copyrighted materials. And this is a free resource for students who qualify for Bookshare. So we encourage you to check out their website. And also, we did a webinar series that is posted on our open access website to learn more about Bookshare. So feel free to take a look at that. Another tool are scanning pens or C-pen readers, and these can scan and read aloud from the text. And some of the newer models even work on the screen. So another way to be able to access that print. And some of them also translate, so lots of options that they can provide. And then also we wanted to share, and one tool is Natural Reader, and this is available as a Chrome extension and a web app. And this works on Google Docs, it can work on PDFs, websites, and there is a free version, and then there's also some premium versions that are available. But I'll just show you quickly what this looks like. So I pulled up an article from Sports Illustrated for Kids, and then I have added that extension here for Natural Reader. And we'll see, hopefully, I gotta hide everything. So you can go in and select your voice. It offers, I believe, 20 plus different languages, and you can change, like I said, the voices. It is a lot of AI-generated speech.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to spend a day meeting NHL players, showing off your hockey skills, checking out NHL memorabilia, and getting to Elliot Matthews, March 18, 2024. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to spend a day meeting NHL players, showing off your hockey skills, checking out NHL memorabilia, and getting to know the
So I
league's
just wanted to
32
show you
mascots?
quickly that Natural
The
Reader
NHL
there.
recently hosted
And so those are just a couple of the tools for removing barriers with reading. And now we want to show you some ways that we can support removing barriers in writing.
And like Jen said earlier, we always want to start out thinking about the simple, no or low tech solutions. So for writing, we've included pencil grips here, adapted paper, graphic organizers, dictionaries, word banks. CAST has recently developed a universally designed graphic organizer tool there. We have Corgi Tips, which is easily integrated into the classroom, into Google Classroom. It has a built-in read aloud option, a talking dictionary, translation features. It allows students to co-plan on that same doc, so it really aligns with a lot of those UDL aligned strategies that will support students writing in small groups. We've also listed here, ergonomics are really important to think about when we're talking about writing. There's slant boards and page ups, and they can just really improve ergonomic positioning for writing tasks. It helps to reduce fatigue and really just to create a more natural writing position.
Here are a few other low-tech tools to support writing. On the home base, we've linked to some of these adapted paper options, so you can see having the lines highlighted to help with that visual and tactile feedback. Also, we have linked other templates there to support that writing, so you can see where you start and where you stop. But all of these can support with that organization and legibility for our learners.
And here are even a few more no-tech tools that can help remove writing barriers. So the first one is Dicem. And if you have not heard of Dicem, it is magic. So Dicem is a versatile non-slip material that really helps improve grip and also stability. So there are so many ways you can use Dicem, but specifically here for writing, we're going to talk about how you can take a little piece and wrap it around a pencil so that you have a better grip, or even place it underneath paper to keep the paper stable during writing or drawing activities. The second one on here are wiki sticks. Also kind of magic. Wiki sticks can be used for pre-writing strokes. They can help with letter formation, tracing shapes. They do a really nice job of creating tactile borders or boxes to help kids keep letters on lines or to even indicate where to start or where to stop with their writing. They can also be used to wrap around the pencil to help with their grip and also to guide proper pencil grip holding. You could shape letters and numbers for tactile or tracing activities. They really have a ton of use. And then here's another example that Laurie had already mentioned, the slant boards. Again, that can really help with that ergonomic positioning. So these are really simple tools that can be super impactful to really help support our students' writing skills. And I think we have a video of wiki sticks to show you guys.
I love when he's so proud at the end,
I know, gets me
showing
every
his
time.
work. And then we also want to share some mid and high-tech AT tools to support writing. So we know that keyboarding skills are essential for our students who might struggle with handwriting. And typing can remove some of those barriers with legibility, and it really allows them to focus on their ideas. So we have a couple programs, things like Typing Club or BBC Dance Mat Typing. They help to build that muscle memory and speed and accuracy so that they have those typing skills. And then also to support keyboarding, things like just stickers or maybe a guard to help with placement. All of those can be ways to support that keyboarding. And then when we think about how we can support with word prediction, I know I just automatically have this on my Google Docs when I'm typing, but you can have where it is predicting what is coming next. So you can do that and it will make those suggestions for you. There's also supports in other programs like that with Read and Write. Clicker is another tool that can be an app or web-based that provides writing support for our students. And we are doing in the fall a webinar with Clicker. If that's something that you're interested in, we will have more information about that we can share. And then speech to text is another tool that we can use to help remove some of that writing or even typing barriers for our students. So just a quick way, a lot of us probably already maybe use voice typing, but if you haven't, so simple in Google Docs. You just go to Tools, click on Voice Typing. I click to speak. Hello. Please help me type my paper. So another tool, built-in accessibility tool to help support that. And we can also, other tools are in Read and Write and Kami that also do that. And then just thinking about other built-in tools like spelling and grammar checks, highlighting, dictionaries, translation, all ways that we can support writing.
All right, we don't want to forget about our youngest learners. So we have some AT apps to support pre-writing skills. And so these apps can offer a motivating and meaningful way to support our youngest learners with fine motor challenges, providing a real modern approach to building skills like dexterity, hand strength, and motor planning. So here are just a few of our favorite motor skill apps. There is Dexteria Junior. It features games that's targeting around eye-hand coordination, pincer grasp, and early tracing skills. We have Writing Wizard, which reinforces correct letter, number, and word formations. And it has customizable difficulty levels, and you can also print off worksheets. There is Cut the Button, which develops that finger isolation. It's all about that visual perceptual skill building and movement sequencing by cutting buttons in a cup. And then Ready to Print. this is that skill progression towards correct printing patterns. It offers individualized settings again, and it has a touch and drag activity for directional movement. So we're now moving into an area where we're going to talk about barriers that students may experience with math, and we're going to look at tools and resources and strategies to help remove those barriers.
So for some students, handwriting can also be a challenge in math. It could be forming numbers, aligning problems, maintaining proper spacing. Those can create barriers unrelated to the student's understanding of math concepts. And these difficulties often lead to unnecessary errors, slow problem solving, and even reduced confidence. Material. I'm going to show a couple tools. One is Wright, and this there is a trial, but there is also a subscription to this. So let me show you this video. It's a super short video just to give you an idea of what this does.
Wright Math, the alternative to pencil and paper math you've been looking for. Our mission at Wright Math is to make math accessible. Designed for students who struggle to handwrite math automatically and legibly, our assistive technology does the writing so the student can concentrate on solving the math. We take handwriting out of the equation. Wright Math provides an on-screen set of math keys in 4 different levels to give students just what they need without adding extra visual clutter. Drop-down tabs provide access to extra math symbols too. Fonts and displays are designed to be easy for students with dysgraphia or dyslexia to look at. Wright offers a grid-based layout for whole number math levels to help students line up problems in rows and columns. The higher math levels provide automatic layout of fractions and more complex equations. Copying math problems from worksheets isn't fun for anyone. Wright allows you to import an image of a math worksheet and then add your math work right on top. Your work is saved automatically for you, for easy access at a later time. Print or export your work from Wright whenever you want. Wright Math is a web-based app that runs in a browser window on laptops, desktops, Chromebooks, and iPads. Visit us at www.kiwiwright.com to start your free trial today.
All right, and then also we want to highlight a few AT tools to support math instruction. So the 2 that we are going to highlight here include Kami and Math Learning Center. So Kami offers some premium features like an equation editor, which can help our kids that are struggling with that legibility. And Math Learning Center provides apps to help students use virtual manipulatives very effectively.
All right, next up, we are going to talk about removing those barriers in executive function.
All right, so we want to highlight a few AT tools to support executive function, and we have 3 listed here. The first one is our timer. This Chrome extension can support students who may benefit from that visual reference of the passing of time. And so it's right embedded in their computer. There is the Visual Schedule Planner. This is an iPad app. It is completely customizable and can include pictures and videos to help model and support students. And then last is the calendar. This is a digital planner that has many features to support planning and organizing. There's lots of color coding and reminders. And this just can help all students, especially those really busy students or students who struggle with that organization and meeting deadlines.
Who doesn't need a calendar to keep organized? And then also some tools to help reduce barriers for note-taking. A couple that can be helpful. There's one extension, Google Keep, where you can save those websites or different pages that you're on to stay organized. And I think this would be great as students are maybe working on projects or research to be able to have those easily accessible. So go ahead and take a look at that extension, and there's the link there if you want to add that. And then another great one is Note Anywhere, where you can create little notes, little stickies, and same thing, how this can help us with a to-do list, research that we're doing, ways to help us stay organized. And I know I need all of these things to stay organized.
All right, and I realize that we are actually throwing a lot of tools at you guys at the moment. And I just want to make sure that we don't forget that when we're introducing these tools, we are going to have to make sure that we are remembering that AT continuum, because our kids are not just going to learn these tools by themselves. And just remembering that those strategies and supports are an integral part of that continuum so that our kids can be successful and really develop that learner agency so that they know which tools to use and when they can use them so that they can best support their own learning. So I just was having this thought that I wanted to make sure I brought up. So here on this slide are just some strategies that we sometimes use when we're supporting our students who are using augmentative and alternative communication tools to support writing. So when we have students who aren't going to be verbally making choices about maybe what they want to write about, choice making presented by way of different icons or different objects can really help our students participate more actively in that writing process, and also can really help build engagement. Another strategy we can use that can be used for it's all over the place is aided language modeling, which is really when we are modeling for our students on their communication tools, really without expectation. And what that is really doing is providing that receptive language input on how to use on how to use their language, which then can transfer into that expression, which can also then again transfer into written expression. So when you're doing aided language modeling, just remember that there is not an immediate expectation for the student to respond, but it's more about giving that input to really build those receptive skills. And then usually you're going to find that the kiddos will start then to express themselves as well. Another great strategy that we can use with our kiddos that are using AAC is recasting and expanding language. So really taking what a student might communicate on their AAC device potentially, or even maybe with some type of gesture or more nonverbal type of communication, and then expand on that. So a little example of that might be that a student selects, for example, pizza potentially on a food on the food section of their device, and you, in order to build that language, may respond with something like, "Wow, you like pizza. Let's get more," right? Or I think I like pizza too because it's yummy. So just building that language, which is then providing that model for our students who are going to then be utilizing their AAC tools for written expression as well. So on this next video, we have a little bit, or on this next slide, we have a video example of that strategy of aided language modeling. So you're going to notice that the communication partner, the adult, doesn't model every single word that she's saying, but she keeps the verbiage that she's using kind of short and sweet, but she's still able to model much of what she's saying within this activity of bubbles. And I also want you to notice that she never asks the students to point to or show me or tell me, but that the student on her own then starts to point to some of the words, and then the communication partner expands on what she's indicated. So I just wanted to give you a quick little look at what aided language modeling can look like.
Bubbles today. Bubbles. Should we play bubbles? Yeah. Okay. What do you want? Little bubbles or big bubbles? Ah, you pointed here. You want the big bubbles. Okay, let's do it. I will do it. Oh, it's a bit stuck. Oh, can you help? Oh, we did it. We got it off. All right, let's go. Here we go. Yay! You're going to get the bubbles? Get the bubbles, get the bubbles, get the bubbles. Oh, good. What do you think? Want? More. More. Oh, you want more. Okay, let's do more.
All right, that's probably good, Leah. Thank you. So sorry, I think that video, I don't know if it was a little jumpy for you guys. It was a little jumpy, but hopefully you got the gist of just seeing a little bit about what that looks like. That video, I think, is linked on our home base. So if you wanted to watch the whole thing, you could go back and watch it. And then here, I just wanted to point out how we can really start to build inclusive settings that include augmentative and alternative communication. And this is just an example, and these are two different school and district sites that have really integrated communication boards outside of those specific classrooms where there are students who may be needing them to access. But by doing this, they are really building the culture and community of their schools around the fact that AAC is important and needs to be recognized, and also can be used by all students and staff on campus, not just the students that require AAC as an assistive technology. So these, I'm starting to see more and more schools really embracing AAC, and how that changes the culture and the beliefs of the staff and students that are working at those schools has really been incredible, and really has shifted to just be so much more inclusive. So it's been really exciting to see that start to happen more and more.
All right, so we have arrived at the final stop in our learning journey. We have 5 short minutes left. We're going to give some resources for you to explore at another time. We're going to give you an opportunity to reflect and participate in a quick wrap up. So we want to highlight here 3 of our most popular resources that are on our website. We have our UDL resource flip kit, one for assistive technology and one for augmentative alternative communication. So be sure to bookmark our website and take time to dig into these resources.
We also have monthly inclusive learning circles where we really talk about that synergy between UDL, AT, and AAC. So we encourage you to register for this series, which is coming next school year. And we also have our recorded inclusive learning circles that are on our website also. So the registration flyer is here. And then I mentioned a couple of these, but just some learning events to take a look at and put on your calendars for next year. The Clicker webinar, I talked about how that can support student writing. Also, we're going to partner with AbleNet and all things accessibility and reading and math, how we can support student engagement. So please take a look at those flyers and join us next school year for those opportunities.